Here we are heading down to the Elk Grove Unified School District, meeting in Elk Grove, California to fight a project labor agreement. The big labor special interests are trying to place on a new $400+ million bond that was approved with no mention of a project labor agreement when voters were considering it, which is interesting. It's not such a good idea that we have to keep it hidden until after the bond is approved. It's going to be a study session, one in which staff is hopefully going to do a good job of presenting the significant downsides of project labor agreements and the discrimination and waste that they allow for. And looks like we're going to have a good turnout, so it should be a good day.
and all of our district departments like the maintenance and operations and technology and purchasing.
Today's study session is the culmination of several months of board study regarding project labor agreements. My role at the outset is to frame where we've been, summarize the evidence staff has assembled, and clarify questions we need the board to consider. No action is requested today. Our goal is to leave with clear board parameters that staff can translate into coherent draft options for future consideration. The central question is whether the approach advances district priorities in a way that is operationally sound, fiscally responsible, transparent, and connected to meaningful outcomes for schools and students. What would success look like 3 to 5 years from now? What concerns must be addressed? And which outcomes matter the most? Underneath all three is the most important design question. What problem are we trying to solve?
I'm going to call our first two speakers.
Good morning. We've done a lot of work for Elk Grove Unified as well as other school districts, do a lot of large projects. We hire union and non-union subcontractors. We do not discriminate. The PLAs discriminate against us. We will not be able to bid any of your projects anymore if you guys put this into place.
My name is Ryan Ranchod, and I'm here on behalf of Diede Construction as well. I am also a proud product of the EGUSD system. I want to approach this from a construction and procurement perspective and start with one simple question. What problem is the district trying to solve? California Public Works already require prevailing wage, apprenticeship, participation, contractor registration, and certified payroll. A PLA adds another layer of requirements that can affect hiring, benefits, workforce development, and project administration. From both a contractor and developer perspective, I want the deepest possible pool of qualified contractors and subcontractors competing for every project. Otherwise, we risk selecting the remedy before establishing the problem. I respectfully encourage the board to preserve open competition, and thank you for your time.
Good morning, honorable trustees. I'm Fay Yassini with Associated Builders and Contractors, Northern California, ABC NorCal. We represent over 73,000 construction professionals across all trades in Northern California. It looks like we agree on much more than we disagree on. You want strong career pathways for your students, and you want the school district to be a responsible steward of taxpayer dollars. So do we. But whether a PLA is the right tool to accomplish those goals is debatable. By now, I trust you all are well aware that a PLA is guaranteed to exclude non-union contractors, workers, and apprentices, prioritize union membership over actual local hire, reduce competition, and raise costs. Please do not start with a PLA simply because it sounds like an easier way to overcome some issues or, God forbid, for political expediency. Thank you for your time.
Over the years, seeing all the districts go over to PLAs, the amount of bidders that are lost because of that, especially small businesses, it greatly affects them, and it does not provide the outcome that the school boards are looking for.
PLAs don't solve a labor problem, they create one. They discriminate against roughly 80% of the workforce. They tell those people and those companies that they're no longer good enough to work for your district. Why do they need a discriminatory PLA to get them to show up? Non-union companies have been here for your district. They've gone in and taught your classrooms. They've coached your kids. They show up at your career fairs and they hire your students. You wanted real hard numbers? I provided them. They were right there. These bid results clearly show that PLAs under the PLA threshold are competitively bid and bid at roughly 4.5% over the engineer's estimate across 20 different projects. They also clearly show that across the other 4 projects, it was 99% over the engineer's estimate, roughly 20 times double the engineer's estimate. So if you look at that compared to this, you'd be able to build with your bond $519 million of construction without a PLA, or $246 million worth of construction with the PLA. Your voters didn't vote to give the unions $250 million, and you should give that money to your community where it was intended. Thank you for your time.
My name is Nicolas Winn, and I'm a local contractor with Rescue Concrete Incorporated. I've invested my time here because I care deeply about our students and the future of our workforce. I'm committed to delivering safe, high-quality infrastructure and comply fully with California law to provide fair, competitive wages and benefits. The people who work for me are not just line items, they are skilled men and women I have trained, mentored, and built my business around for the last 30 years. With that said, I stand here before you today to strongly oppose project labor agreement for Elk Grove Unified School District. Thank you very much.
I wasn't invited here by an association or to represent organized groups. No one sent me. I'm here because I live here. I live in Elk Grove. The business is headquartered here in Elk Grove. My 2 sons were dropped off at school right next door and just down the road this morning. We've been here since kindergarten, attending these schools. When I remodeled my home a few years ago, I paid significant fees, well over $5,000 that went directly to school facilities, legally have to be spent on school facilities. If you look at the outfield and the football stadium, you'll see our company banners hanging. We are supporting the schools in every way we possibly can already. My company has completed 2 projects for the Elk Grove School District in the last 3 years. Those delivered improved radio coverage for first responders. So when we want to talk about safety, 3 times in other jurisdictions, we were involved early in the budgetary process. And then along the way, a PLA was introduced and we were forced to withdraw from that process. So we weren't able to provide those services. Schools in the district have worked in our warehouse during the summer and have plans to join our company when they graduate. We have a formal career development program, which includes on-the-job training and formal training. So we have formal pathways for that apprenticeship. We're bringing kids in from these local schools. We're teaching them. We're building their careers. Our entire company mission is built around that. So, the bottom line is we're here local. I've got other folks here with me from the company who have children who are students in the school district. We strongly urge you, on the PLA, back to the point, what problem are we actually trying to solve? We've got the local folks we need here. We've got the local support, and we need to give that support back. So thank you.
I wanted to primarily speak by example of working directly with Sac City Unified School District. I've been one of their primary project managers for the past 5.5 years, specifically on low voltage data communications projects. I can speak from experience that I've been to several job walks where a PLA was going to be in effect, and I was the only attendee at the job walk as a courtesy to the district because I knew I couldn't bid the project for 2 high schools. So I walked the job, and it was estimated by the engineer at around $600,000 for each campus, and I told them I could probably do it for about $700,000-800,000, and then I also told them I couldn't bid it. So I walked away, and 2 days later they re-released the project with a non-mandatory job walk, of which 2 union contractors showed up and bid, and one of the campuses was one at $1.4 million, and the other one only 1 bidder with no competition at $1.2 million. Again, that's all published on the district's website. So I encourage you to consider the financial impact of this decision based on a neighboring district.
Christen, Executive Director of the Coalition for Fair Employment in Construction, formed 28 years ago here in Sacramento to oppose discriminatory and wasteful project labor agreements. First and foremost, every union business agent here that has spoken today doesn't employ 1 worker, doesn't run 1 company. The companies that do hire signatory workers aren't here speaking for a PLA because they know they'll lose most of their non-union subcontractors. That's something to keep in mind. Every union worker and every union company will have a chance to bid in the open competition model you've had on 194 projects that you built under Proposition M, all of them. So let's just clear that up right now. 194 projects. What problem are we trying to solve exactly? That's the question that if you can't answer that, then you shouldn't be voting for a discriminatory project labor agreement. I threw a lot of what I was going to say out today because when I read your packet that's found right over here, that I hope everybody reads, Your staff did it for us. Compliments of Washington Unified School District, Natomas Unified School District, and Sac City Unified on their reporting back on how their project labor agreements have worked. There are 5 school districts in Yolo County. One of them, Washington Unified, has a PLA in effect on one project. There are 14 school districts in Sacramento County. 2 have used a project labor agreement. Why are PLAs so unpopular? Well, the reasons are obvious. Bid competition, pending assessment at Washington Unified, significant reduction in bidders for Sacramento City Unified. Natomas Unified chilled the bidding pool. Cost outcomes, active project at Washington Unified, scale disparity at Sacramento City, inflationary friction at Natomas Unified. Is that what you want, inflationary friction in this time of high inflation? Every bond dollar under a project labor agreement will be worth 40% less than it is now. You didn't ask the taxpayers to put a PLA on this when you went forward with this bond, and now you're bringing it up after the fact. What problem are we trying to solve? The few people that do use PLAs have already answered the question for you, so why are we even here? The answers lie right here.
Good morning, trustees, staff, and engaged community members. My name is Rex Hime with WECA. I noticed one line from your facilities update that stood out. All of this planning has one purpose, making every dollar go further. If you truly want every dollar to go as far as possible, and you want this to work around fiscal responsibility in mind to be worth something, you would not want to enact a discriminatory and costly project labor agreement. We just heard that a $55 million school turned into a $77 million school just with time passing by and construction cost increase. So why would it be a good idea at all to pass something that's going to increase your cost even more on top of that? 20 to 25% of your bond monies will not be utilized with the PLA because of the implications on the market. PLA's exclusionary language lead to fewer bidders, which that creates less healthy competition, which leads to higher costs. For the one project discussed earlier that is projected to cost $500 million, you can kiss $100 million goodbye. It's going to cost $600 million to get that same project done with a PLA. And with that $100 million less going into investment in facilities, who's going to feel that pain the most? Probably the students who are already getting bounced around to different schools because there's not enough space for them. The same families and parents that show up here already feeling like they're not heard and like they're at the bottom of the barrel are going to be the ones struggling when we don't use every single dollar to the furthest of its abilities. With the impressive growth this district is seeing and projecting, every single dollar needs to be used to its fullest extent to make the most impact for students in this district. The facility update sounded like everything's going great. You have both union and non-union contractors working, so it really doesn't seem like there's a true reason to implement a PLA or a why to what problem is being solved. And with all that being said, this is starting to sound less like a project labor agreement and more like a political labor agreement. Thank you all to the board members and staff for your hard work on this, and thank you to the community members for showing up and sharing your voice either way. Thank you for being here and being involved. Have a good rest of your day.
This meeting we had today on the PLA topic at Elk Grove, we kicked ass. We had more speakers than they did. We had better messaging that actually included the needs and wants of the district itself, not just ourselves and our apprentices and our employees and our contractors, but the district as a whole and the community. We were hammering all of those points, and they went up and said,
just make it union only.
We don't want to drive.
Right. Well, one of the things I tried to focus on at the beginning, because I realized, this isn't said often enough, because the unions get up and speak, we get up and speak, and we kind of speak past each other. So I wanted to bring it back to the fact, every single union guy, by the way, none of whom employ one worker or run one company. Yeah. Where are the companies? Why aren't they here? That's telling. But secondly, all of them are still going to have the same chance that they currently have. So what do we get out of this that we don't currently get? What you get with the PLA is all of our guys not being able to bid. That's the difference. That's the great denominator.
Including all of those guys that are paying tax monies on the bond dollars that are being used to build this district out.
And who had no idea a PLA was going to be part of this. It was never mentioned. It was never a topic of the bond. And that's very disingenuous, because don't tell me that some of these board members did not have to sign a questionnaire from the unions. And the first question is always, will you support a project labor agreement?
Well, we should look up the campaign contributions in the last 6 months.
That is another good to-do item. Excellent idea. The problem we're trying to solve is to get them to answer the question they posed. What problem are we trying to solve? And I haven't heard anyone enunciate it yet. Poor quality, not on time, cost overruns, they're not getting stuff built. The only problem I heard is we don't have enough money, so why would you reduce the value of the money that's already, the few dollars you do have?
Well, and they came up with their past problem at a past meeting. That was all the change orders.
Right.
And they found out that that was so insignificant, it can't even be a fake problem anymore.
Right. I thought we
had a great presentation from our side today. I thought they were on topic. They were professional and passionate, yet also not. Sometimes it can get a little heated in there. So I was really proud of everyone on our side. The other side did what they did, which is basically say it should be union only. And it's like, okay, thanks for saying the quiet part out loud. But I thought it went really well.
It did, and they were very concerned. I think that passion came from the concerns that they have for how this is going to affect their livelihood and their businesses. And they showed up saying that we put aside our work and what we had to do today just to be here and make a statement so they can hear it from them. And after a very long time, we outnumbered the unions. Yeah.
That's awesome. No, it's good. And it's nice just for psychological reasons to do that because it also bothers the unions. And the one was getting agitated, the IBW representative. I kind of helped with that too. But it was good because I thought that what the union message seemed to be was don't look out for the best interest of the whole community. Look out for our best interest. And what our best interest is to them is the 10% of the industry that's non-union. And what I tried to say in my first comments were every single one of these employees, which none of these business agents are. They don't employ one worker and they don't run one company.
Exactly.
But every single one of the non-union workers will have the same opportunities they currently have on these
Absolutely.
194 projects. The same opportunities. If the PLA goes into effect, all of these people will not have the opportunity. That's the great difference.
Yeah, that was something you always say, Eric, is that when there's no PLA, everybody can work on a project.
Right.
But with a PLA, they're discriminating against a vast majority of the workforce in California. So.
And that's why I really wanted to read their own staff packet from the horse's mouth, from the districts that have the PLA, significant cost inflation. Why are we talking about this? Reduction in bidders. Why are we talking about this? I mean, it's so black and white.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what they're going to say too. They're talking about it right now and asking questions about how their staff is hiring contractors
Right.
and whether they're getting vetted or not. And staff has to explain to them that it's not just us. With or without a PLA, we have to
Yes.
go through DIR to make sure that these contractors are able to work. Well, fiscally responsible as well, but also they have to be in conformance with California law. So yeah, interesting conversation.
So how do you think it went from our perspective as far as presentations?
I think besides not having to be here, it went about as good as you could go. The union side didn't show up today. The non-union side came up in force and told their story, and I think told it very well.
Right.
The board has a fiduciary duty to the community and to the kids and the teachers and the schools. They don't have a fiduciary duty to the unions. That's where they have to come across, and that's what they have to understand.
Former council member Rob Fong said the quiet part out loud when he said, your school district runs well because it's unionized, so you need to make sure that all the people that are building your school district are unionized. It's like, wait a minute. Oh, so this isn't about local hire. This isn't about on-time delivery. This is about just making sure that it's union only.
Well, as I said in there 2 meetings ago, the unions were talking about local hire, and then they brought in a union employee that's traveling to the Bay Area to go work on PLA work because they don't have enough union staff there to do the work. So the PLAs doesn't solve a labor problem.
Yeah,
it doesn't solve a labor shortage. It creates one.
Right. I thought we were on message, passionate, but on topic, data-driven. I thought the staff unintentionally had that up there on the screen the entire time. What problem are we trying to solve?
There's no problem to solve. They should all get gold stars out in front of this Trig Education Center because they did roughly, I think, $300 or $400 million worth of work over the course of the last 3 years. And the net change orders is like $300,000.
Insane.
So you're looking at like 0.1% or whatever that is, some astronomically low number that they're already doing with staff. So the way that I look at it is this PLA is being forced on the staff and on the district by the unions, trying to do a money grab after the bond's been passed, hosing the taxpayers, hosing the kids. They can always do the work. Like we all bid prevailing wage. It's all set up that way. There's no reason for a PLA.
The only reason for a PLA is a political reason, and it's a straight money grab. That's like saying, okay, well, you've got this school over here, and at the start of the school's year, we're going to rip away half of those teachers and give you all new teachers. You have no idea how that teacher works. You don't know how they get along with other teachers. You don't know how they teach their students. You don't know what value they bring to the community or what detriment they bring to the community. But this is your hand of new people, and that's 50-50.
Good luck with that.
That's bare bones minimum.
Right.
After it exceeds, I believe, 6 people, then it's all union employees.
Then it's all strangers.
So that's saying I'm going to build your brand new school, and instead of me doing it with employees that we've grown over the last 31 years, building successful project, putting a bunch of time and effort into them, having one of the most amounts of Bixie certifications in our size company, probably west of the Mississippi. We have a third of our company that has Bixie certifications. We put a lot of time and effort into growing and training our team. And they're saying that all that's not good enough.
Strangers and take and assume the risk of doing that.
That's right. We get brought in by union contractors to do low voltage work because we're the most competent. Right. And now they're saying that union shops or non-union shops are not competent. Well, if we're getting brought in over other shops, that means that we are the most competent. And I'm not saying anything against union or non-union, that should be a choice. But PLA is not a choice. Correct. That's unions buying off board members and forcing PLAs onto district so they can grab that cash and stuff it back in their pockets.
Correct.